All right, team, good evening. Welcome aboard to our weekly recap, our weekly YouTube video. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of GAR Capital. Glad to be with you this week and every weekend here on the GAR Capital YouTube channel. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I didn't do a video last week. I was out on vacation. I just want to say thank you guys so much for being patient with me and my company. It wasn't much to trade last week, to be quite honest. We did catch a trade on Friday. Was out on a much needed vacation. I went to Southern California. It was absolutely beautiful. It's definitely motivating to see those beautiful beach houses right by the water. Maybe that's something I'll do in the future. Definitely manifest that in my mind as I go through trading. Maybe, hey, you never know. Maybe we get a really nice run in stocks, and I could buy a nice beach house over there in Manhattan Beach. It was beautiful over there. But take my head out of the clouds for a second and talk about the market. Glad to be with you. Glad to be back. Feel rested and ready to rock. New month, September 1, 2025. Sunday evening futures are open. As you can see, Dow futures are up 4 points, Nasdaq's up about 14. Russell is flat. Gold is up 1%. Gold we actually traded on Friday. We did GLD calls for Wednesday. We got those for 45%. So let's go over first kind of the results that we had for the past 2 weeks. And the past 2 weeks have been very choppy. Granted, I was out the past week, but still, even before that, wasn't the best. In options, you could see Google, the 210 calls. Google hit as high as 214.65. Literally 1 week too early. That's all. Just a shame. Nvidia chopped us up as well. Microsoft puts closed too early, 20%. Hit as high as 100% on those puts. Palantir calls chopped us up as well. Just Tuesday was looking great, and then Wednesday pulled back. And GLD, the 317 calls hit 45%. So at least we ended up on a positive note when it comes to trading. Since the past 2 weeks are a little bit of a grind, as you can see, not much to be proud of, to be quite honest. 2 out of 5. We'll get the tallies in terms of the month results. Futures, you can see the past 2 weeks. We did catch a ES long. Kevin did a long, hit as high as 15 points on ES at 64.72. Basically washes the past 2 weeks. That's how flat we've been. Very, very choppy. So now with the holiday being today, which is Labor Day, the market technically is closed. We didn't have a market New York session today. But futures are open. So like now it's a regular time. Tomorrow the stock market will open at 9:30. So let's start looking at what is upcoming in terms of economic data. All right, let's take a look at it. Tuesday, tomorrow, ISM manufacturing PMI. We have JOLTS job openings on Wednesday, September 3rd. So a very job-centric week. Why are jobs important? If the jobs number is weak, we will get an accelerated push into rate cuts. Again, we cannot have spiking unemployment. Again, that is very, very bad on consumption. If people are not working, they're not spending. That is deflationary. So inflation right now, I think we're at what, 2.8%, 2.9% on a CPI. Pretty good. I mean, you guys remember where we were back in 2022, 8%, 9% at those times. So the Fed kind of did its job in that sense, if you're looking at that point of view. But now the jobs market has held up pretty strong. But we did have those revisions on the last non-farm payroll report. Look at these numbers. 74,000 jobs are expected to be added. That's pretty low. Did we hit peak jobs? That's really the question. And that's what I'm looking at in terms of my 60-day playbook, which we're going to talk about that here in a second. The article will be posted on our website. Hasn't posted yet, but we will get there. And once we do, you can go ahead and read a little bit more about it, but I'm going to go and talk about it here. So let's round this up. ADP private jobs report. That's on Thursday, 8:15 in the morning. We also have, this is all Eastern Standard Time. Friday is the non-farm jobs report. 74,000. Those expectations are pretty low. If the jobs number is higher than 74,000, what the expectation is, still get the rate cut in September. I think that's pretty much baked in after Powell was speaking at Jackson Hole. I think it was about 2 weeks ago that was the case. And if the jobs number comes in lower, then we need to have the conversation about 50 basis points in September. That would be great. but we don't want people to lose jobs either. But again, that would accelerate. 4.3% on unemployment. Let's see what we get. Let's start taking a look at earnings. Got a couple of names showing up this week, a couple on our watch list. One in particular that we wrote on our articles is Salesforce. If you want to read that article, here it is. Oh, the 60-day playbook. That was the old one. Here is the CRM article right here. Posted 11:13 in the morning today. We're looking for seasonal tailwinds, meaning we're expecting a boost higher in CRM. This is part of our watch list. This was posted yesterday. Here's the chart on CRM at the moment. You could look at it two ways. You could look at it as we could be setting up for a breakout, just like we did right around August and last time's earnings. We're at 250, hit as high as 369. That's a gain of around what? $120 per share. That's pretty great. Then you double top there and pulled back. Could we be setting that up? Or we're setting up a head and shoulders. 209. Keep an eye on that level. But I expect us to have the same kind of seasonal push in that Q3 earnings cycle. You can see that downward trend, very similar. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then you get that breakout. Look at the seasonal trend in terms of CRM, Salesforce. In September, kind of bottom out in the beginning. Maybe we get a little bit of an earnings pullback. I want to be careful trading this name ahead of earnings. But again, if we want to do a little bit of a lotto, I'm looking at calls. We're looking for a boost higher. Over time, right around 5% is the gain for the month of September, at least the front end of September. Again, this is historically speaking on the stock. So I really like CRM. Let's keep an eye on the volume. They report, let's see again, what do they report? On Wednesday. We have some other names that we put on the watch list as well. We put Broadcom in there, Lululemon as well. I think Lululemon might be a turnaround. Let's take a look at that here in a second. Zscaler, I also put that on the watch list. Let's take a look at that. Zscaler, again, not a name I talk about, reported that. And you can see we could be setting up a bull flag, but I think we're going to go ahead and get that gap fill right to 255. The only concern I have is that we may not get volume on the name. Neo, this is a name that's been pushing higher. They reported or reporting. I got to see the time, but I do expect them to pull back. I could be wrong. Maybe they're soaring in Hong Kong at the moment. I know Alibaba was. So I expect Alibaba to push higher because it was pushing higher in the Hong Kong session. But seeing this price action here, you could see that kind of a breakout of the downward trend. If it's above 7, we can talk, but I think this fades below 7 and stays below it. Lululemon, kind of a downward triangle setup. I think we might be setting up for that breakout to fill this gap fill to 326. Lululemon. Nike was beaten down too. Forward PE ratio on Lululemon is only 13. Could be some looking for some rotation out of the very expensive mega cap names, the Mag 7s, and looking maybe a little dumpster diving, let's just say, on a name that's been beaten down like Lululemon. We also talked about Broadcom, possible bull flag. Again, 280 or 310. Those are your two numbers we're looking for. Two prices. Above 310, it's a long. Below 280, it's a short. What would I do in this situation, which I wrote, is probably write some upside calls. Maybe the 325 calls for this week, get some easy premium. I highly doubt it would break above 325, in my opinion. If it does, hey, that would suck. Your shares are exercised, but that's really out of the money. So let's say if you bought it at 310, you're still making a profit, even if it were exercised, for example. So I think Broadcom for selling some upside calls. And if it did pull back, you just made your premium. So not a bad strategy if you do own at least 100 shares of Broadcom or any other stock, really. But 100 shares of Broadcom if you want to do this strategy. Let's take a look at futures. S&P 500, you can see kind of a setup of a inverse, and then you got a setup of a regular head and shoulders. Not much to say when you're at all-time highs, guys. You're really just holding on to what? The 20-day, 64.50. As long as we stay above that, we're pretty solid. What I'm really looking forward to is gold. I think gold's setting up for a continuation. That's what we traded on in terms of the GLD calls on Friday. I think we keep hitting GLD as long as we stay above 35.01. That's what I'm looking forward to, at least in terms of gold. All right, so that's where we are. Let's take a look at the macro playbook. Again, I'm going to read some of my notes. really what I'm looking for this month or the next 2 months is September. We're going to get that rate cut, and I do expect in October we'll get another 25 basis points as well. Inflation will stay still sticky. CPI may be under pressure. Uh, Cutting rates is inflationary. So, be rest assured that inflation will creep up higher. So you need to keep an eye on some of the names that are going to do well in a high inflationary environment. Can't say, ultra inflation or hyper. No, just names that are going to do well in those situations. I like the banks here. You can see the breakout right on this channel here. I also like energy. That's something that we've been trading with. We'll have a pilot program coming up called GAR Wealth. It's going to be more of call selling, and it's going to be an easier way for our clients to earn easier call premiums. Money up front. They don't have to, make a trade that's a little more speculative, like buying naked calls or naked puts, for example. XLE does have a gap to fill right around 92. Could be worth a shot. I think just writing upside calls on XOM has been working just fine. Uh, you can see kind of the stability chop there, so it should be set up for some easy premiums there as well. I do like energy. Let's take a look at small caps. That's something else I'm watching for this upcoming 60 days or the next 2 months. 244 is what I'm looking for. So let's see if we can break these highs right around 237. Small caps will benefit from rate cuts. So you could see that we've been trading really since this inverse head and shoulders, and we're setting up again another. Above 237, I would be going up to 245. IWM still has more to go. I like small caps in the long run as money gets cheaper, technically speaking. Um, I think that's pretty much it. So more details will be on the actual article. If you guys want to check it out, make sure to go to our Discord server. It's going to be under GAR articles. The last one was on CRM. A little bit more on my thesis and why I think CRM is going to go higher. I'll talk more about it tomorrow before the market opens with our market radio session with our members. If you guys have any questions, feel free to DM me directly here on Discord. Feel free to add me as a friend at CEO GAR Capital. Appreciate you guys being on the server. I'm glad to be back, and love to get started again on this new month. Let's make it happen. Let's get started on the right foot, and I'll see you guys on the server tomorrow. Cheers all.